So I want to talk a little bit about stress because stress is a huge factor. I teach at 2 different schools, and all the clients that I see, everyone has some level of stress, and stress is implicated in every symptom that we have. It affects our bodies, our thoughts, our feelings, and our behavior. And it really has a lot of impact on our physical well-being. So it elevates our blood pressure, it increases the risk of heart attack, it increases our risk of diabetes. Cortisol, which is a catabolic hormone, that steroid hormone that comes from our adrenal glands, mediates change. So it breaks things down. And so what happens is it also mediates inflammation. So when we're stressing all the time, we're stressing our adrenal glands, they become exhausted, and we're also creating a lot more inflammation in our body, which also leads to acidosis. And it's like causes tissue damage. So we need to be really careful with that. It affects our memory, it affects our sleep. You know, most people who have adrenal weakness will wake up between 2 and 5 in the morning. That's a common thing. So we really need to watch what we're stressing about. Okay? Another thing that happens too is that stress is implicated in so many symptoms that we have, and I could go on, but I didn't have enough room on the slide. So you can see that migraine, tension headaches, multiple sclerosis, endocrine and autoimmune problems, irritable bowel, and the list goes on. Okay, I'm going to be putting a lot of these slides into handouts and putting them on my website for people to use. Okay. So increased stress can lead to smoking, to drinking, to alcohol, to drug use, to comfort foods, to overeating, to sugar and carb addiction. It's interesting that when we get really stressed, the one thing we need to do is kind of relax and eat really healthy for our bodies. And the one thing that most people do is the opposite. Drink a lot of coffee, don't drink enough water, you know, and just do things that are really counterproductive and make the situation worse. So you end up feeling constantly fatigued, unable to concentrate, or in irritable and otherwise relaxed situations because you don't have that reserve left. You know, we have that little bit of reserve that, you know, in case a stressful situation happens, we can tap into that. But if you've been stressed all the time, what happens is that you lose that reserve. So our perception of something is really important too. I read somewhere that 92% of what you think about isn't real. So 92%, like that's huge, right? And we're always worrying, we're thinking about the what ifs. So if 92% of what you're thinking about isn't real, then you really need to think about what you're thinking about. Because your brain doesn't realize if something is real or perceived. So if you're thinking something stressful, or you're doing the what ifs, or you're worrying about something, then what's going to happen is your brain's going to register that in your limbic system, and then it's going to go through your whole system, causing a hormone reaction. And you're causing a lot of damage to your body just by thinking the thought that hasn't even occurred yet. So we really need to be mindful of that. And a really good expression from Richard Bach from his book Illusions, and Wayne Dyer has since used it, is that we need to change the way we see things and the things around us will change. So it's really important. It's a really hard thing to do, but it's our perception that really changes how a stressful event is interpreted. So modern technology is amazing, but we're less connected, and that's the problem. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen dinner tables. I mean, my daughter does it too. She's always on her iPhone, and you'll be like sitting, you'll be out for dinner somewhere, and you'll see like people are communicating with their phones. It's crazy, right? So it's more difficult to switch off from the stressors of the workplace. So even though it's enhanced our lives, I think it's like we have that like disconnect, right? We're more disconnected. So this is what the modern family looks like. Even the dog. So.